Hey everybody, ronarray here, and for modern farming you usually need a lot of things, right? Expensive tablets, complicated setups, rarity on gear, and all of that together to make decent amount of divines. But in this video, I want to showcase the type of farm that I tested on streams, and it currently can net you 20 plus divines per hour if you are fast enough, plus some occasional lucky drops too, and all of that without complicated setup at all, with no rarity requirement and with only basic tablets. Let's go forward and I will be able to showcase and explain how it works and what you will need to do. Also, feel free to subscribe to the channel if you appreciate farming videos, and let's finally start. So for that farm, we're just going to focus on rushing the boss areas, all of them which we can find on the map. However, there's a few tricks how to make it as efficient as possible. So your main goal is to find all possible places for breach zones and for cross of nothingness, zones which are going to give you king in the mist. That way, you need to make sure that you always have breach stones and audience with the king in your inventory when you're traveling your Atlas. So make sure you're buying breach stones and audiences, because you're going to make currency from each entrance into those zones. After that, in your Atlas, you're also going to pick a lot of basic maps, which are like Jade Isles. I never calculated those in my profit and left all of them because those are mostly RNG. However, your profit, which is probably going to be approximately 20 divines per hour if you just focus on rushing as fast as possible and your character is fast enough, is going to come from a stable things, so no RNG involved, and as you can see, I'm not even running my Jade Isles for that. So your profit is coming from very important parts. First off, it's going to be breach. Second, it's going to be cross of nothingness, which are appearing everywhere on the map. And last part, you're going to do Matriarch and Patriarch holes, because there's tremendous amount of holes on your Atlas. So when I've been traveling, for example, there have been multiple situations like that, when I had Patriarch like that, and Matriarch here too, so did both of them very, very fast. And you can also do stone and other variations of citadels in the process. So let me explain the core of the strategy. You need to pick one side after your fortress. So your fortress, for example, is here, and you can pick one side on your Atlas and start going to that side as far as possible. I picked the left side, so I'm practically just going to the left, as you can see, through my whole Atlas, picking all Matriarch and Patriarch holes through those zones as fast as I can. However, there's a few cool tricks how we can do that to make it as efficient as possible. First off, if you have a zone with cross of nothingness, or even better, with a breach stone, you always need to go to that zone. So my next step in my current Atlas setup, I'm going to go quickly like this. In the map, you don't need to kill any monsters, and you need to just focus on running as fast as possible to the boss, killing the boss, and exiting the map. So the only thing that you will need is to make sure that you're using one pretty important tablet, which is going to come in handy later on for you. So when you're running those maps, I heavily recommend to use one tablet for Delirium. It could be any Delirium tablet, so no requirement, and you don't need to pay much for it. It could be any basic rare that you picked. And you're running basic maps with no additional mods and just one Delirium tablet. Why we are using that Delirium tablet? The big upside for us is coming from setting up maps for the future. So if you have Delirium Atlas unlocked, if you don't worry, you have Grand Mirror chance. So 5% chance for Grand Mirror to appear on nearby map when map bosses are slain within the fog. So if you can do that, you practically can set up Grand Mirrors on your Atlas while you're running and searching for bosses. So in the future, you can farm those maps using Are You Sure You Want to Do That for double tablet effect. If you can't do Delirium, you don't have Delirium 3 or something like that, you can completely drop it and just rush empty maps. And to rush maps faster, there's a cool thing for Doriani at the moment. I recommend to use something basic like a Stitch or Flash in case if somehow you would die. Also, hidden patterns, 10% chance when completing map to make nearby map accessible. It will allow you to jump through the maps and touch the maps that you're not accessing directly. It's not happening that often, but it's a pretty cool way how you can reach things that you normally can't. And the last part is Head of the Snake. So powerful map bosses have chance when defeated to reveal a nearby citadel. It's helping mostly to see some particular additional zones on your atlas. So for example, right here, as you can see, I can see the zone which I usually would be unable to see. It's kinda nice, so it's going to help you out to navigate through the atlas. But the main goal is to run those maps as fast as possible, just empty one. However, when you're reaching your Patriarch halls and you're ready to go in, you're going to swap your approach a little. It goes same like for the Copper Citadel, for example. So if you've seen the starting montage at that video, you probably noticed that I'm pretty often dropping 2 parts of the fragment and not 1. And here comes the trick how you're doing it. So when you're reaching the citadel or better like Matriarch, Patriarch halls, you're going to use a map with as high waystone drop chance as possible. I usually go for at least 95%, but perfectly 105 would be very, very nice. And if you're running the Matriarch or Patriarch halls, you will also have an options for tablets. For the tablets, I'm just running basic irradiated tablets with 40% increased quantity of waystones found in map on each of them. As you can see, 39, 39 and 36. It's going to help you to drop 2 fragments instead of 1 and going to multiply your profit significantly. Those tablets cost absolutely nothing. You can pick them yourself, you can buy them, they cost like 10 exalteds most of the time. Also, when you're going to reach the breach zone, right here for the boss, I heavily recommend to swap your master to Jade, just for Untold Histories, 35% increased chance to find Lineage support. Breach sometimes dropping a pretty good Lineage support, so I definitely recommend to use it. And when you keep back at Russian, swapping back to Doriani is usually recommended for again hidden patterns and Head of the Snake. In the process of Russian, if you want, you can also add 3 powerful bosses to every map too, so if you have a place for second tablet, you can run 1 for Delhi and 1 for basic and power map bosses. The main goal of it is to proc your Doriani Science and Head of the Snake more often, so you'll have more reveals that way, but I don't really feel like it's too necessary if you don't have space or you just want to run basic blue maps as fast as possible. It's going to be absolutely alright. And same things goes for Crux of Nothingness. When you're going for Audience with the King, I just recommend to take any basic waystone with some item rarity and perfectly like 6 modifiers to run him as fast as possible too. Unlocking all Jade Isles and everything else for the future, so as you can see I have a lot of unlocked maps right now. I never calculated them in the profit because those are crazy RNG, but they're giving you a big chance to get a huge loot such as Rakiatas for example or Garruk Hands at the moment, which cost a lot. So you can just run them at any moment again, just using the same tablets for quantity of waystones and the same waystone itself for higher waystone drop chance. You will probably get at least 1 breach per hour. Pretty often you can get 2, but I would expect at least 1, and multiple Kings of the Mist. King of the Mist can also drop a pretty nice thing at the moment, which is the Jewel. So as you can see, the diamond is dropping pretty often. It goes about 13 divines at the moment, and it's going to multiply your profit too. I usually would expect only 1, maybe 2 diamonds and like 5 hours of farming, so it's not dropping too often. Audience with the King at the moment cost less than such a cool thing as Head of the King, which is always dropping from King of the Mist. And amount of profit can also depend first on your luck, and you will always still be in profit because it doesn't matter how you're going to do that. You're investing absolute 0 currency and you're always going to receive something back. If you will be able to do it fast, so like very fast maps and picking all those parts fast enough, you're probably going to end up with something between 18-20 divines per hour or even higher. When I tested it on my stream, I ended up with 23 divines per hour on average. Even if you're built as slower, I still think you can end up with like 10, maybe 15 divines if you will take a little more time while killing those. And the last big upside of that strategy is just Grand Mirrors. You're going to have a lot of Grand Mirrors on your map left, so as you can see I have like 1 right here, but I actually have significantly more around. 1 here, 1 here, 1 more here, and so on and so on and so on. Getting those mirrors is a very good thing to boost your other farming strategies, so just keep them for later and you can run Breach or Ritual or Abyss or anything that you like in those Grand Mirror territories, because they're going to double your effect of tablets, and I absolutely believe it's worth it for the future. And as the last note, let's talk about the Atlas. You practically don't need anything in there. The only thing I could recommend is getting 50% increased chance to find lineage support in Forest Mastery, because sometimes your area will be forest. And most of the time the rest is going to be the same, so getting like tablets effects up top is the only thing which is important. The rest of the Atlas playing barely any role right there, and you can run practically anything that you currently have. Now let's quickly talk what we are profiting from. So at the moment, Breach Lords cost 660 Exalted, or if you go with Divines, it's 5.4. If you're dropping 2, you're practically making 2 Divines in profit, especially considering that Breach Stone itself is tremendously cheap. So you're paying only 44 Exalts for the Breach Stone, but getting 5 Divines from the sack. And if you're dropping 2, it's 10 Divines in profit, which is absolutely amazing. And same goes for King in the Mist. At the moment, the head of the King has a pretty good price, and you can get one for 200 Exalted, and with the current Divine prices, it's about 1.8 Divines per every head, when Audience of the King is pretty cheap as well. That's the main part of your profit. However, if you will look at Origin Cradle, it's looking kinda the same. You're getting it for practically free when you're reaching halls, and it costs about 400 Exalted or 3.5 Divines, which is absolutely amazing. Same goes for the Spark, which can drop instead. It's 2.4 Divines, and all of that is practically with no investment. So even if you're not going to get double that often, and pretty often you're just going to drop 1 Spark or 1 Cradle or 1 Sack, it's still providing tremendous amount of currency if you can just rush those parts as fast as possible. I hope that strategy will help you out to get some currency, especially if your build currently don't have more rarity or other things like that. Thank you very much for watching, and see you next time. ronarray out.